Teacher asks black janitor, "Why is my mom's photo in your wallet?" His answer shocks everyone. The first time Mr. Bradley stepped into Jefferson High School, he didn't come through the front doors like the rest of the staff. He came through the back, pushing a heavy cart filled with buckets, mops, and cleaning supplies. Tall, broad-shouldered, and always dressed in pressed overalls, he moved like a man with purpose. His deep brown eyes carried a storm of stories, but he rarely spoke unless someone spoke first. To most students, he was just Mr. B, the janitor, the quiet man who worked late into the night making sure their hallways were clean and their classrooms smelled like lemon polish by morning. But to the teachers and staff, Mr. B was something else entirely: reliable, respectful, always there when you needed him. Still, no one really knew him. He didn't share much about his past, and no one had ever seen beyond the gentle nods and warm smiles he gave in passing. That changed one Tuesday afternoon, during a parent-teacher conference. Ms. Keller, a bright and energetic new history teacher, was organizing her desk after a long day of meetings. Her light brown hair was tucked in a messy bun, and her laptop hummed as it updated grades. Mr. B entered to empty the trash can, his usual quiet self, until a small, worn photo slipped from his wallet as he reached into his back pocket for a handkerchief. The picture floated gently to the floor. It was old, creased at the edges, but unmistakably familiar. A young woman, no older than 20, smiling brightly in a nurse's uniform. Ms. Keller froze. She bent down, picked it up, and stared at the face that looked just like the framed photo on her nightstand. That looks like my mom," she whispered. Her voice cracked with confusion. "Why do you have this?" The room fell silent. Mr. B's eyes locked onto the photo, and a softness washed over his face. "Because she saved my life," he said quietly. Ms. Keller's brow furrowed. Her mother, Emily Keller, had died when she was just a child. All she knew was that her mom had worked as a nurse in Chicago in the early 90s and passed away from a car accident on her way to work. She never talked about her past much. How do you know her?" Mr. B sat down in the student chair across from her. For the first time, he seemed to fold into himself, like the weight of a memory had found its way back. "It was 1991, he began. I was 22. Homeless, fresh out of juvie, addicted, angry, and completely invisible to the world. I had just been kicked out of a shelter for fighting. I thought that night would be my last. Cold, hungry, and ready to give up. I collapsed in an alley behind Mercy Hospital." Ms. Keller leaned forward, her heart pounding. "Your mother," he said, smiling gently, "was working the night shift. She came out to take a break and found me there. She could have called security or just walked past me like everyone else did. But she didn't." He paused. His voice was calm but cracked with emotion. "She gave me her coat. Told me I mattered. Then she took me inside. She paid for my treatment herself, stayed with me until I came around, even though her shift was over. She checked on me every day I was in detox. Brought me books. Encouraged me to read. Talked to me like I was a human being, not some junkie." Ms. Keller's eyes welled up. "She never told me any of this." "She wouldn't have," he said, smiling. "She didn't do it for recognition. She did it because that was who she was. The world moved too fast to notice people like me, but she saw me." There was a long silence before he added, "I promised her I would make something of myself. That I'd help others the way she helped me. That photo reminds me of that promise every single day." Tears slid down Ms. Keller's cheeks. What she thought was a quiet, tragic ending to her mother's story was, in truth, a beginning in someone else's. The next morning, the story made its way through the school like wildfire. Students who barely noticed Mr. B before now greeted him with respect. Teachers asked him to speak to classes. He declined most of the attention, humble as ever, but agreed to share his story during a school assembly about compassion and second chances. When he stood in front of the packed auditorium, he didn't speak like a janitor. He spoke like a man reborn. A man who had come through the darkest storms and chose to be a lighthouse for others. He told them about Emily Keller. About how one act of kindness can change a life. About how dignity isn't earned by wealth or position but by the choices we make when no one is watching. And in the front row, Miss Keller cried openly, her heart full of a pride she had never known. That day, Mr. B wasn't just the janitor. He was a living testament to the power of compassion. He retired 3 years later, but his story lived on in the school's ethos. They created the Emily Keller Kindness Award, given each year to a student who made a quiet but powerful difference in someone's life. And every morning, before class, Ms. Keller would pass by the photo now framed in the main hallway, the same one from Mr. B's wallet, and whisper, "Thanks, Mom." Because sometimes, the greatest legacies are the ones we never know we leave behind. And sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest echoes of love.